Okay, looks like we are live on LinkedIn and YouTube. Just finished up the Facebook one, so if you're on Facebook more than LinkedIn, feel free to watch this on Facebook as well. So today we will talk. We'll take about 10 minutes to discuss Mastermind and how we are showcasing how Mastermind works on a podcast and Mastermind for artificial intelligence, digital transformation for the teams, and artificial intelligence brings a lot of challenges. Some are known, some are unknown, and some are very unknown. But before we do that, let's jump into what's happening into the world of AI as of last few weeks. Uh, because keeping up with AI has been a pain. I've been in this AI space since 2015. As difficult as it is for somebody who just found out about ChatGPT recently, it's been mind-boggling for me. So if you think you're alone in suffering, you're not alone. There's a lot of other people suffering with you, and that goes for every level of subject matter expertise. So NVIDIA, all right, NVIDIA is talking about infrastructure that's coming down the pipeline, and there's going to be major infrastructure. So what you've heard about 2025, about $500 billion in the program that is coming out of Abilene, Texas, Stargate program. So that Stargate program, $500 billion, everybody's like, hey, $500 billion. That's like as much as the Department of Defense will spend on their yearly budget. So what's the big deal here? The big deal here is that they're talking about something that we will need in order to sustain AI going forward. So some of the challenges that you heard from 2025 is that whatever investment is happening on the other side of the investment, the return on investment is not that great. Because there's a lot of questions about the sustainability of this process. Now, the sustainability on this NVIDIA piece is also there because we're talking about it's not quadrupling the megawatts, it's literally more than quadrupling the megawatts usage on the energy grid. And US energy grid really needs heavy lift and shift to change that. If you remember recently for Elon Musk and his data center that's out in Memphis, Tennessee, they needed a special power sources that they had to bring in from Europe. And because of state borders, state lines, there's been a lot of equations that they have to play with because the data center was consuming power from all around. So that NVIDIA news is creating some buzz because of the Blackwell series, the Hopwell series, the Hopper series, and the Blackwell series. The Hopper is the traditional legacy ones, and now the Blackwell series, once that comes online, you're going to see a heavy data traffic, and heavy data traffic means heavy energy usage. So beside that, one of the other parts that you will hear a lot about is Claude. It's amazing how everybody is talking about Claude, and everybody is looking at Claude saying this changes everything for non-techies. People that are not coders, people that are not programmers, people that are just subject matter experts of what they are, they can articulate their subject matter expertise. They can articulate their subject matter expertise in a prompt box. All of a sudden, Claude is able to do magic on their behalf. So if you're in the enterprise level, if you're in a business level, if you're in a medical industry or healthcare industry, big industries, think of Claude as your business tool, where ChatGPT is more like a consumer-facing tool. So it has a lot of consumer applications to it. Like Perplexity has that search bar feeling, right? It does a lot of things that Google already does, but better. And then you have Gemini. Gemini is also sort of like, hey, if you're into this Gemini space, we can do a whole lot and some more, but we're not really made for the enterprise levels. Claude, on the other hand, they've been working on something which I admire very much because they stayed focused on the enterprise level AI. They have stayed focused on the business friendliness because they care about the business outcome. But at the same time, chatbots like ChatGPT and Gemini, they're looking at it from the consumer perspective, what the consumer needs, what's the daily users need. So there's a difference there, but Claude is changing the game in a major way. So you will hear a lot about Claude in 2026. And that ties back to your NVIDIA and Claude because NVIDIA's infrastructure will heavily um, support the businesses, right? It's not going to support the consumers as much. It will support the businesses in order to deploy these artificial intelligence capabilities. All right. So one of the other pieces that you heard about is that OpenAI is partnering up with lots of the industries. So partnering up with ServiceNow, right? ServiceNow will use OpenAI's capability in order to provide their customers with the AI supports that ITSM teams will need. ServiceNow has a long history of being successful in ITSM business, and for them to develop what OpenAI has is almost impossible. So that partnership just makes sense. That you will see a lot of these OpenAI ChatGPT capabilities will come through, and beyond that, you will see a lot of application, the business application that will use OpenAI capabilities as they move forward and increase their AI service catalog. So the next one is the Gemini and Apple. So like you've seen in 2025, everybody's kind of getting together. Everybody's making this news buzz cycle, which the ticker supports as a very positive one. So Gemini will be Apple's partner in providing AI through Apple. So if you want to research some of the background stories behind it, if you know Safari's default search bar is Google, and Google pays close to $10 billion in order to have that in Safari be the primary search bar or search. There's a name for it, search tool maybe. There's a name for it, but that's what Google pays a lot of money to Apple. So now you can see how much Google wants to be in the Apple ecosystem in order to capture activities within the phones, right? So Google is going to be Siri, the background, the backend LLM that's going to be utilized for Apple AI use cases. So that's a synergy that's coming together, because that's like mature AI versus you haven't really matured your AI, but how do we help each other? Because I have this mature AI and you have this service. Let's merge it together. So ServiceNow and OpenAI, Gemini and AI, you will see a lot more of these coming in the upcoming months, because that's what's happening right now. Everybody's kind of utilizing the mature system versus maturing their own system. And there's an effort for maturing their own system, and that's where the mastermind comes in. So next week, we're looking to have a few people join us and simulate what is a mastermind. A mastermind is not a classroom, it's a boardroom. It's a boardroom where a few people comes in. So if you have a room for 10, maybe you don't want 10 people to fill in that room. You want 5 people to sit in that room with subject matter experts, and then go through lots of your challenges and go through your understanding, baseline your understanding, then work through the lunch and kind of get to the risk management framework side of things, where if those 5 individuals would have taken 4 months to make a decisions, now in a 1-day session and 6 hours later, they're able to make those decisions maybe the next day or in the 6-hour-long discussions. But the point is that everybody has a baseline understanding of what they know and how AI impacts that, and what is AI, and why they are investing so much into AI, and why are they leveraging AI for the future capabilities. So quarter 1, quarter 2 is great, but what about quarter 3, quarter 4, and quarters next year, right? So how do we have a sustainable way managing those risks? And then if we have a risk management framework, risk acceptance, and those sort of things already built in, now we have to talk about hardware, software, and data. We have to understand, where the cost will rely. How do we do data acquisition? Those sort of things will play out in the mastermind session. However, most of this information everybody already knows, but it's just that not everybody knows it on the same level. So we have to do a lot of gap assessment and figure out where to insert those gaps, with what knowledge and what sort of proficiency that they need from their data, from their software, from their hardware. Because not everybody has their data structured very well, but everybody probably has a good amount of hardware, right? How do you realize and repurpose this hardware? How do you do a business impact analysis for that? How do you justify your financial expenses to the CFO, right? So these individuals, 5-to-1 individuals, could be that they're very much non-techies, but they need to take their knowledge, make decisions, and execute on those decisions. So in those short conversations, they get a lot of validation on what they know, what decisions they have to make, and then get the perspective of other individuals that are in the room. They're able to capture this execution together. And the next part of it, yep. So I kind of mentioned that what mastermind is not. Mastermind is not a classroom. It's not a 30 people sitting down and one person lecturing. No, it's 5 people sitting there talking amongst each other in a hot seat environment, communicating. And now they get to understand that they know something, somebody else knows something. If they don't know something, how do they work together on that, right? Because like I said, knowledge based. They have lots of knowledge, but now they have to make a decision, and that decision is time sensitive. Even if it's not time sensitive, they're just strategizing. They want to strategize for the next 3 years of AI. How do you strategize, and how do you direct your team to go in that direction? You can do a mastermind for that. So you can do it internally or you can do it externally. However you do it, try to bring in multiple persona. And if you are thinking about single persona, it could be that, chief of HR, chief of finance, chief of technology, chief of information security. They all can be multiple persona as well, right? But if they're all C-suite, that's okay, because those are the people that can go back to their organization, business unit, and then say, hey, look, this is the direction that we're going about. Now I can lead that direction because I have done the mastermind, sort of like a train the trainer methodology. Trainer gets trained, then they go train everybody else. So that's necessary because that shaves off a lot of time, and we have done that in multiple occasions for a lot of the big companies. And these big companies probably came into us probably 6 months later and wondering, like, how come we haven't gotten anything done yet? It's because there's a lot of these fear, which creates a distance between what needs to be done versus curiosity, which brings everybody closer. So what we do is bring that curiosity into a single room for a few hours, if not a few days, and able to help them understand what the roadmap looks like, use emotional intelligence. We call it triple EI. Economically explain, using your emotional intelligence, that somebody's not going to lose their job. That's not what this business model is about. This business model is about the growth, and growth means we hire more people to do these jobs rather than to let go of our subject matter experts who has lots of these knowledge base that AI possibly can never replace, right? And even if AI does replace it, those subject matter expertise are far more crucial because their talent, skill, and their business knowledge will actually resonate far more because the AIs are doing most of the repeatable, redundant, and dangerous tasks. I'm a little bit over 10 minutes, so I don't want to take too much of your time. But if you're interested, we need 2 more seats to fill. We have 3 people already. If you're interested, let me know. If you're non-techie and you are looking to make a decision, you'll be a perfect fit. And it's going to be about 45 minutes long session where we'll record it sort of like in the podcast style, and then we'll do a little bit of debriefing at the end, but we'll showcase how that conversation goes when you're in a 5-2-1. So that way, when you're trying to do it for your organization, you can do it yourself, and then train the trainer method, continue with that organizational change management. How do you maintain and sustain those kind of conversation will happen every other week. Okay, thank you so much, and have a good rest of the week. Stay safe. Ciao.